Hey,
Too bad we can't vote, Kylie.
that was
We
really
got
good.
three strong votes.
Yeah,
I
that's
would have
right.
your
Vote.
vote.
That's right. Yeah, sure. Rex, what do you think?
I thought that was good. I liked you talked about your early childhood, and I was curious. Did you ever reconnect with your biological father at all?
I have. So that is actually a large part of my story that maybe I don't share as often, mostly because, it's not just my story. My story is very unique to me, and I am able to share it and express it. But my brother has a lot of really different views around the relationship, and I really like to respect his values and where he's at with that relationship. But I did reach out to him mostly through Facebook Messenger. We were able to kind of chat back and forth. And there was a time that I really went through the experience of wondering, after I didn't have per se daddy issues growing up because I had a father, right? But it was more of an experience when I had children that I started really questioning, oh my gosh, how could somebody walk away from their child? This is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. And so being able to reach out to him and find the answers to those questions that I was looking for was really healing. Not only for, I don't know that the answers were the healing part, but just the opportunity to find forgiveness in myself and in him, and being able to forgive him for walking away, but also to be able to thank him for being strong enough to make that decision, because I'm sure it's a decision that haunts him every day. But it was a decision that changed the trajectory of my life and generations to come.
Yeah, that was good. You mentioned that earlier too, like that he was able to make that decision, which opened the door for you to have a really good home experience and a good father figure in your life. That's incredible to hear.
Yeah.
You said you work in matchmaking now.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, what have you learned about matchmaking or helping couples get
So
together?
it's a unique experience. Maybe I'll give you a little rundown of what I do, and that can help you have a better understanding of what the matchmaking process is, because a lot of people do not think that I'm being like legit when I say that I work for a matchmate. Like they're just like, oh yeah, you hook up your friends or your clients, like how fun. I'm like, no, like this is an actual job. Like I get a paycheck for this. But it's unique. So we have a database that people enter, and it's for men and women. And the women are always free, and they get to participate in speed dating events, different events that we host. And they have an app that they can swipe on, just like Hinge or Tinder. And that is all free to them. The services that we provide that do cost money are for our male clients. A lot of them are actually very well off, and they pay a certain percentage to be able to enter this phase where we're able to connect them with specific people that we feel are meant for them. So we go through a very lengthy process of trying to figure out background checks, where they're coming from. They have to meet with a psychologist and kind of talk about their past, present, and future hopes. They are able to talk about maybe they were in a divorced relationship and they kind of divulge into where that all went wrong, or they haven't never been married and they're 46 years old. And why are you 46 and aren't able to commit? So they go through that process. And then I am actually head over the styling division. So what I do is I take them to the mall, and we basically do a clean out of their closet and set fire to it. And we get them a new wardrobe and get them feeling stylish and give them some tips on that. And then both of my worlds collide, and I'm able to cut their hair, wax their eyebrows, kind of get them feeling fresh and looking good. And then I go through and I pick out people in my system who match what they're looking for. So say they're wanting a blonde who's 5'6" and is in a certain age range. We usually try and keep it in a 10-year age range. So we don't want them to go above 10 years or below 10 years. And they want somebody who's into fitness, likes hiking, does sports, likes to travel. So I'm looking at all of those things in my database. When I go through all of those women, I'm really breaking that down. And I go in and I hand select them. We do an attraction assessment and see if it's somebody that they would be interested in going on a date with. And from there, I set up the date. I set up their dinner, their activity that they're going to do. And then I have them exchange meeting arrangements and they're able to go on the date from there. And we usually tell people some people know right off the bat that they're not interested, but we usually tell people to give it 3 dates before they decide.
I like that advice. I like that advice a lot.
You'd mentioned earlier too that dating is way different now. How is it different, and is it more difficult or simple or easy compared to when you started dating or ancient me dated 20 years ago?
I think it can be challenging because of the lack of connection and the increased distraction with social media. I think it's created an issue where people aren't able to know how to court someone. A lot of people just want to meet online and they want to do a hangout. They're not doing the chivalry. They're not taking them on a proper date. They're not paying for their meal. They're kind of like, I don't want to go on 8 dates and pay for 8 people to have dinner. It's become a very unique experience from what I've heard from people out in the dating scene. So I think a lot of times too, the Netflix show In the Pods, remind me what that's called.
Netflix show In the Pods? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to date now. It just seems like a whole different landscape.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It was hard.
Love is Blind. Have you seen Love is Blind?
Love.
Okay, so Love is Blind is all about, they go into pods and they are dating with this wall between them.
They can't see.
They can't see the person. And they actually propose to the person before seeing them. So what the motive behind that is they're not having the physical attraction determine whether they want to go on a second date with somebody. They're really letting that emotional connection form first. And I think that that's such a hard thing in today's day and age with social media and the apps of swiping is they're judging based off of that first impression of what they're seeing on their screen, rather than really getting to know someone and letting that attraction form through what their mind is and what their heart is and the value-based system that they have together.
Yeah, it's very superficial and vain in that sense. And that's an interesting angle to go at it. I haven't seen the show.
You'll have to watch it. I love reality TV, so
I'll check it out. This is incredible. Was there anything in particular that sparked your interest in going for pageantry and being Mrs. What are you right now, Mrs. Utah
Mrs.
Valley?
South Valley. So originally pageantry started for me when my aunt ran for Miss Spanish Fork and I was her little miss that got to escort her on the stage. I loved everything about beauty and being a princess and the crown and everything when I was a little girl. So it's always been a very long time dream of mine to do a pageant. But as I stated before, when I was trying to get into the education program, when I was volunteering in the classrooms and interning in the classrooms, I realized that there was actually a really significant need for children. What's the word I'm looking for? they were not receiving food at home, and they had a lot of issues with children who were coming hungry to school and who were malnourished. And they started providing things like free and reduced lunch. But I really wanted to make a bigger difference. And it was tugging at my heartstrings when I was seeing this happen to so many students of mine. And I was able to create food packs with the Utah Food Bank. And we created these little backpacks that we would take into schools. And they would be filled with food for children to take home on the weekends, so that when they didn't have food, like free and reduced lunch at school or free and reduced breakfast, that they were able to still get the needs that they needed with the food at home. And we had so many drives, so many people filling those backpacks, and being able to distribute those to schools was so impactful. And I just know that now having children and being able to like create that stability for my kids was super powerful. And so that's what started my passion, and just being able to serve people and my community and really make a difference is what is so impactful for me, and what creates a love and a drive behind doing it.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all this. This is great. I love it.
Thanks for having me.
We're rooting for you, Kilie.
Thanks for joining us today. Hey, do us a favor and take a second to subscribe to our podcast and the Utah Marriage Commission YouTube channel at Utah Marriage Commission, where you can watch this and every episode of the show. Be sure to smash the like button, leave a comment, and share this episode with a friend. You can also follow and interact with us on Instagram at Stronger Marriage Life and Facebook at Stronger Marriage. So be sure to share with us which topics you loved or which guests we should have on the show next. If you want even more resources to improve your marriage or relationship connection, visit strongermarriage.org, where you'll find free workshops, e-courses, in-depth webinars, relationship surveys, and more. Each episode of Stronger Marriage Connection is hosted and sponsored by the Utah Marriage Commission at Utah State University. And finally, a big thanks to our producer, Rex Polanis, and the team at Utah State University, and you, our audience. You make this show possible. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Utah Marriage Commission.